Cool. So I wanted to make this video basically on just generic risk management when using a funding company. Now, a lot of people who do use these funding challenges, they're aware of this and they know how to manage their risk appropriately. Now, when you usually start, you start on 0 and your absolute drawdown is 5%. If you reach that, you're in violation of your account and you will lose your account. That's basically a no-brainer. The next one is obviously the profit target. If you reach your profit target or anything above, you've passed your account. And then you've got basically the time between there. So however you trade, that will determine where you are as a trader. A lot of people, they're basically in this middle bit, right? They don't really win, they don't really lose, they kind of sit on the break even and eventually they decline. Well, the truth behind it is you need to approach these challenges with proper risk management. Usually you might trade with 1% or whatever the situation, but you need to reduce your risk. A lot of people don't reduce their risk. They kind of trade with 1% and then they blow their account. So they fall into that line. Some people, they reduce their risk and then they gradually get that growth due to their strategy, due to their risk management, their patience, their discipline, and understanding how to trade. There is very few people who do reach this, but once again, that's not always the most common. The most realistic is probably, something which is more so like this. It's a little bit more sustainable. And as you can see, it moves in a very nice curvature. It's moving up like this. Something which moves like this can be good, but at the same time it can work against you because you might just win it in one trade and then psychologically, is it luck? What is it? So you don't want to decline and then blow your account just because you've got to where you need to be. So you have to realize that if you have a sustainable and it involves patience, growth, and it doesn't have to be like these massive growths. You just need to eventually get that growth like this. That basically shows that you're growing your account. Even though you take small losses, that's your risk management there. That's a percentage off that percentage. So let's say that you're taking 0.25% risk. Okay, absolutely, it means that this target is going to become more, but then why are you worrying about this target? Let's say if you took 0.5, for example, right? That means that your profit target is technically 20%, and despite what it might say on their website, you've now changed the rules yourself. You've basically made this 10% and you've made this 20%. That's even more achievable in many ways. So what that technically means is that you can decline, but it would take you 10% to get there. If you're trading with 0.5, that means you have 10 trades. Bearing in mind that's still 5%, right? So technically, by doing that, you've changed the rules for yourself. You've made this 5%. You've made this 10%. You made this 20%. But in order for you to get there with 0.5, it means that you take 1 loss, 2 losses, 3 losses, 4 losses, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10% would be lost on the 0.5, and that would lead to your 5% drawdown. But then you would have to make 10 losing trades in that sense from the point of being at this 0. Whereas if you have a winning strategy, the odds are not really like that. Let's say you trade a 3-to-1. Now, a 3-to-1, obviously, the trades can be random, of course. We don't know for sure that you're going to have the sequence of 5 winning trades, 3 losing trades, 5 winning trades. We don't know that. You could have a win streak or a losing streak of 3 losing trades, essentially. And let's say that you have a losing trade followed by another losing trade followed by another losing trade, but then at this point you get a winning trade that banks you 5%. So you get that 1% back, that 2%, that 3%, 4, 5, 6, 5%, and you're back here, right? So you're up 2%. Then again, let's say that you take a losing trade. So at that point there, you take a losing trade and you're back down to 0, and then you take another trade a couple of days later and you bank another 4%, and then so forth. You losing trade, a losing trade, but then all of a sudden you make a winning trade, you make about 6%, and then you made a losing trade, and then all of a sudden you're there. However, the difference between this and obviously, 5 losing trades is very, very much different, because here you took, let's say 1, 2, 3 trades already. So at that point there, you'd be there. So if you took 3 trades, you'd probably be around down here already with them losses, 3 losses. And then the next trade, you would have taken a win. So you'd be up to about 2%. And then essentially you would have taken a loss, you'd be back down here. But the difference between being here in this area here compared to the area above there is your psychology is going to be in a worse place, because here you're actually technically in the break even or in a profit, right? So despite everything, but over here this can affect you psychologically, and you might think, oh well, actually I've only got a certain percentage left, so I may not opt in for that particular trade, or I may not do this because of this. So you're letting this dictate your trade, whereas you know how to trade, you know what you enjoy trading and so forth. So you need to basically be smart about it. But I mean, some people can absolutely trade with 1%. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm just saying that if you traded with, let's say 0.3%, for example, okay, this profit target increases, but with the majority of funding companies out there now, you can get more time. You don't have to sit to that 30 days. Thing is, it's achievable in 30 days as well. We all know that. But even if you traded with 0.3, that means you've got 15% over here. You've basically given yourself more room to play. So the account can last a longer period of time if you're struggling with that. Essentially, you can have this account for quite some time, trade with 0.3%, and then let's say you take a losing trade, and then you take a winning trade, and then a losing trade, and then a winning trade, then a losing trade, then a losing trade, then a losing trade, then a losing trade, then a winning trade, then a losing trade, then you can be in the game for such a long time before you actually eventually blow this account, and so forth. Or obviously you can pass the account, which is the aim. But what I'm saying is, it's not about how quick you can do it, because when you've done it, there's no time limit, there's no restraint. You can just sit on your account. Let's say you've got a 100k account and you traded like this, then at that point there, when you have that 100k account and you've taken your first 20 or 30k withdrawal, are you going to be sitting there trying to rush your account or this and that? If you take 1% off your 100k account, that might be enough to, let's say if you made 3% off your 100k account in a month, that's something that you're going to turn around and be like, hang on a second, I'm living a very, very good life, especially if you're not from countries like UK, and for example, you might be from somewhere in Greece, somewhere in Europe where the salary is considerably less, and you may only need 500 euros a month as just as a base figure. So if you have a £100,000 account, and then let's say you make 0.1% in a month, that's 10k, right? You know that you only need 500 euros. You don't need 10,000 euros. I'm not saying that you don't want to go and get it, but I'm saying you don't need to be trading with 1% risk at that point. So if you have 100,000, and let's say that rather than trading with 0.1, we're going to trade with 0.3, that's 3,000, right? That's still so much more. So you might even consider now saying, okay, my golden number is a lot less, so I'm going to trade with 0.01%, which is 1,000. So I have 1% risk, right? But I'm trading with, I have, let's say, maximum drawdown of 5%, right? You could take roughly around about, would you trade 0.01% risk? Absolutely, why not, right? Because these profit targets don't exist anymore. This is your absolute drawdown, this is your whatever, okay, profits, more profits. You start here, 0.1% to get to your 5%, it's going to take you a long time. You've got 50 trades. 50 trades before you blow that £100,000 account now. Every time you make 0.01%, you're making a ever so much more than you could imagine. So you're over here, and then you're slowly growing. Even if you come back down, you know, that growth, even though it's going to be small and take you ages, that's going to compound, and you're going to have 10, 15, 20, 40, 50k, and then you have more room for taking more risk and so forth. So kind of understand that on a scaling point, where a larger account can offer you that, but if you can't do that with a smaller account, what's the point? Because absolutely, like, it's just one of those things that I think just sits in people's heads. So have a think about that, and then I might post another video, but if you have any questions, drop a comment below. Have a nice day.